Have you ever wondered what we're doing about drunk driving in Malaysia? Well, currently the law states that you get a minimum of 3 years and a maximum of 10 years in prison, even if you cause death by drunk driving. Three years? You barely finish your bachelor's degree within 3 years. And then you just throw out the degree like as if you didn't learn anything at all anyway when you're doing your job. So, do we really think that prisoners will actually regret and learn something from the 3 years? So let's look at the prison system in Malaysia. There's about 65,000 prisoners, and that's a spending of about 2.5 million ringgit that they spend every year just to take care of the prisoners, which sums up about to 38 to 39 ringgit per day for each of these prisoners. That's equivalent to buying them a Celcom 48GB monthly data plan every single day. Wow, so much data! That's right, they get to enjoy their drink without responsibilities, and then when they kill someone or get someone into an accident, they get you, the rakyat, to pay for their lodging and food for minimum of 3 years to 10 years. Wait, what's that? Oh, breaking news, guys! As punishment for killing another human being, our Anthony Loke want you, the people, to finance them further for an extra 10 years. So that's 20 years in total. 20 years in total! If I wanted to finance someone for 20 years, I might as well just get married and get a child. At least that way I can kick them out by the time they're 18. Lagi efficient. You don't need to spend that much money. Next idea. Gantong lesen seumur hidup. Brilliant idea. But I think I see some people arguing that, well, it doesn't really matter if you have a license. They can still drive without license illegally. That's right. You don't want to be messing around with the Malaysian police force. Because, the Malaysian police force is so menacing. But don't let their cowardly and timid form fool you at all. The police would use their bodies and shove their heads up your ass like a dildo. Now you know what the slogan means. Polis dan masyarakat berpisah tiada. Who gives a shit about law enforcement in Malaysia when the law enforcers look like a bunch of dorks? Now, instead of using taxpayers' money to build more prisons, isn't it more worthwhile to provide the PDRM with unlimited protein? Hire gym bros ke, buat fitness first ke, whatever it is, to make themselves look more respectable. Barulah respect sikit. But wait, the police are corrupt. Hey, it's a two-way street and it's also a chicken and egg problem, isn't it? If people are kiasu enough to drive on the emergency lane or potong you right in front of the very long queue at the touch and go lane, don't you think these selfless people would ever want to try bribing the police? Especially when the police are perceived to be very, very bribable. Why not cuba try test? And not to the police. Tak payahlah berusaha. Banyak kerja lah. Isi dokumen, buat report. Buat apa susahkan diri sendiri? Nanti kena bawa pergi balai lah. Ish! Pegang orang masuk dalam kereta pula. Aduh, langgar MCO ni, langgar PKP. Kan lagi senang dapat duit kopi. Kalau tak beli kopi, bolehlah masuk dalam funding untuk buat membership fitness first. Next step. Ban alcohol altogether. What? But how am I supposed to have fun? How are people supposed to know that I am funny? How am I supposed to hit on college students? How am I supposed to deal with my marriage problems? How am I supposed to compete with white people and their superior Me Too stories? That's actually really happening. I completely acknowledge that. Up to a point where now a feminist human rights activist, Siti Kasim, actually equated the dangers of alcohol with the horrific dangers of religious upbringing. Did she know that one of the reasons why women were allowed to vote was that so they can ban alcohol in the first place? I mean, alcohol is only involved in, rape cases, Me Too movements, domestic abuse, all these types of things that actually causes harm to you, yourself, and everyone else. But yeah, sure, let's ban the religious schools. Because God forbid we taint our innocent children with stories of moralities and human behavior. Bah! Telling stories to your children? Who does that? Can't your 5-year-old just read up on Kantian moral theory? Here's an idea. Instead of reading them bedtime stories, why not you just give them an audiobook of Hume's is-ought theorem? Cringe. Next tip. Gantong mati terus. Then you have the Muslims, with always the scariest method ever. Hey, Habibi, you steal, I cut your hand. You rape, I cut your balls. You kill mine, I kill you back. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Huh? I don't know. Sounds like too much justice. I mean, who would want this? I mean, can't we just put a price tag on human life? What is it? If you drunk drive and you kill someone, how much you have to pay? 200,000? 500,000? 1 million ringgit? Oh, it's just 5,000 ringgit. So a human life in Malaysia is just costs like your iPhone. Well, in this economy, that's a lot of money. At least you spend my tax money on building more prisons. Isn't that contributing to the economy? Of course I'm kidding. No human would ever have a price tag. I agree. Tapi, problem with this is, it's hard to figure out the intent, isn't it? I mean, did he really go on a murderous rampage because he saw everyone else disobeying the MCO? Or was there really hate crime involved? Or were they just too lazy, they don't care about anyone else, and they're too selfish like everyone else? Tak tahulah. The problem with booze is that people end up blaming the substance more than they blame themselves. They don't own up to that responsibility. I mean, you know how this goes. Whoa, sick party, bro. What did you do? I don't remember. Sometimes they pretend that they don't even remember, even though they perfectly do. You know? Like some people. It seems like a recurring theme in Malaysia. To pretend, to berpura-pura. And that's basically the same problem with the fact that we should believe all women in these Me Too stories. The responsibility is on both parties to engage in any kind of physical or sexual activity. Just because the night before you were buzzed and you saw through your beer goggles and then the guy looks amazing or the girl looks like a supermodel even though she's fat as shit. And then the next day you're like, oh, the guy has a third hand, the guy has a micro penis and has hairy balls everywhere. And then suddenly you realize, oh, you know what? I decided myself, he raped me. You both consented to it the night before. But with alcohol, all these things are faded away. What's even worse is that people can use alcohol to undermine your credibility. What if a girl really got raped and then she went to the police and said, you know what, hey, I think I got raped. And then the people who was accused and basically said, well, she was drunk, she didn't remember anything. Her credibility is lost. I think one of the problems is that most people think that they're the exception. Hey, I have experience, I've been drinking since I was 15 years old. I can handle the bruise, I different. But they completely disregard that human beings decline in biological capacity. Those who drink, they don't sleep well, and then if you don't sleep well, you have memory loss, and if you have memory loss, you coupled with lowering your IQ, and later on when you're older without enough sleep, then you also get Alzheimer's disease. And why stop there? Might as well just continue on your legacy and pass it down to your gene pool so that your boys can be equally as alcoholic as their father. I mean, who wants their child to grow up to become a bunch of pussies who cannot handle their drink? I think a lot of the anger that Muslims feel during these times is that people don't own up to their crimes and instead blame the police for not being tough enough on them, for not being tyrannical enough. I don't know lah. Too much oppression, you complain. Too little oppression, you shift the blame to everyone else but yourself. I mean, killing is a crime. And I think choosing that selfish convenience over being responsible and killing people for it should also be seen as a crime. I mean, in the end, I think it starts with the individual. So maybe it's time for people to grow up. Quit drinking. Go to the gym. Learn how to become a carpenter. Make music. Write a dialogue. Write a movie script. Give up booze. I mean, smoke weed and find peace instead.
Pabila larut malam